nothing on yours, the Jaguar coming into the United States. What's wrong with either parity on tariffs, we whack you with 110, or bring them back to zero? The Indian guy comes over here and says, okay, big guy, let's go to zero. Okay, and what's wrong with that? Tell me what's wrong with that.
No,
what's wrong with that?
I don't think.
What's wrong with that?
I don't think anyone is suggesting that tariffs used very strategically.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
What's happening, everybody? Earlier this week, Kevin O'Leary and Batya Ungar-Sargon joined the panel on Newsnight with Abby Phillip. Kevin O'Leary and Batya Ungar-Sargon joined forces to combat the wild speculation and flat-out lies from host Abby Phillip and the rest of the panel about the effects of Donald Trump's tariffs and his trade strategy on the U.S. economy. And now, for my regular viewers, this is going to surprise you. Abby Phillip interrupted Kevin O'Leary and Batya Ungar-Sargon every single time they started a sentence. Shocking, right? Anyway, let's watch Kevin O'Leary and Batya Ungar-Sargon destroy the other guest and Abby Phillip's prepared liberal talking points. Let's go.
26. Batya, it seems kind of hard to dispute that if things go the way that they're going now, things are not looking good. Even Republicans are saying that because they're worried. They have to run in 18 months or so.
I think that there are a lot of things we could all agree about were utterly unsustainable in terms of our relationship with China. And the only way to get out of that unsustainable situation was always going to hurt. And so I don't blame Americans for realizing that and recognizing that. But if I could just mention a few of the other things that he's accomplished in the last 100 days that I think we all could agree are good things. Border crossing down to almost zero, the lowest in recorded history. Deportations of gangbangers. 10% global.
Alleged.
What do you mean? There are many that are not alleged.
No, well, when 60 Minutes did their report, it found that 75% of the people that have been sent to El Salvador.
You don't dispute that there were gangbangers deported.
I dispute that the 238 Venezuelans that were sent to SECA in El Salvador all have ties to gangs.
We can debate
they
that.
May all have tattoos.
Let's put that aside.
Is any of that making stuff more affordable?
I'm getting there.
How is that helping? I'm
getting there.
CBS is really credible.
We only got an hour.
Really credible. They don't edit any interviews.
Oh, okay.
They're just
all right,
Everybody
Kevin.
edits interviews, Kevin.
They are the
Shark
rock
Tank
solid.
edits too.
Rock
Everybody
solid.
edits.
That's a complete non sequitur, okay? It's unrelated to the conversation. First of all, Trump had his interviews edited by Fox. That issue with CBS is being litigated, but it's not likely to be successful.
I'm glad it's being litigated.
Because editing interviews is allowed in the United States of America, and it wasn't edited deceptively. But anyway, we're moving on because that is not part of the conversation. Continue what you were saying.
A few more of these. He got 24 hostages out of Gaza. $1.5 trillion in manufacturing investment committed to the United States, transparency in foreign funding of universities, vocational training, AI training, lowering prescription drugs, the tariffs, which are going a long way towards reorienting our relationship, making us sovereign as a nation in a way that we cannot be with the current relationship with China.
I want to come back to, throwing things out that he thinks will make people like him when he can't pay for it and he can't execute on it?
Let's be pragmatic with tariffs and not get emotional about it. They are short-term weaponry. Let's just take India for an example. And
you might want to
tell
tell
that to
convince
all of you this is
Kevin,
good policy.
you might want to tell that to the president. I want to deal in the real world.
Let me answer
because
the question,
in the real world, when Donald Trump says, I want to pay for eliminating the income tax with tariffs, that doesn't sound to me like a man who thinks this is just a short-term negotiation.
Why would you think any individual in government that doesn't face an election gives a damn about polls? They don't. He's not facing an election again. It's over. He's done. So let's get back to reality. Let's take tariffs in the context of something everybody can understand. Tata Motors in India makes the Jaguar car, okay? We want to sell an American car in India. They charge us 110% tariffs. We charge them nothing to bring the Jag into the U.S. Why is that fair? Let's just stay focused for 1 second on that. All he's saying in his policy, and I don't want to be about Trump. I don't shill for politicians. I shill for policy. What's wrong with saying to India, hey, India, it's not okay to charge us 110% on our assembled car into your nation when we charge you practically nothing on yours, the Jaguar coming into the United States. What's wrong with either parity on tariffs, we whack you with 110, or bring them back to zero? The Indian guy comes over here and says, okay, big guy, let's go to zero.
Okay,
and what's wrong with that? Tell me what's wrong with that.
No,
Shady,
I don't
what's wrong
think-
with that?
I don't think
What's wrong with that?
I don't think anyone is suggesting that tariffs used very strategically.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
Very strategically are a useful tool. It is the way it's being done, the flip-flopping, the uncertainty.
Oh, you don't like the volatility?
The uncertainty that every business owner now has to face when
I
they
want you to get
plan
over
their
volatility.
hiring.
It's only been 100 days.
Tell
Relax.
59% of Americans to get over it. That's the reality.
Let it simmer. Let it. Listen,
Okay.
you got to let it simmer. You got to let it work. You got to give it
Okay,
time.
Americans, let it simmer as you give the example
Let it
for a word.
marinate.
Okay, as you cannot even marinate chicken because you can't afford it right now in Trump's
Come
America.
on, that's
Wow, Ashley Allison is making extra stupid comments on today's clip. You can't afford it because we're living in Trump's America. Really short memories, don't they? You know what no one on the panel ever points out? Inflation has been out of control for as long as I can remember since Biden took office. I've been spending $15 to $20 at Taco Bell for lunch for years now. So all of this inflation they're talking about was caused by Joe Biden being ineffective at his job, or whoever the hell was running the country. Inflation has stayed steady since Trump took office this time around. Obviously, we want that to decrease, but steady is a massive success compared to anything the last administration did. And that's with Trump upending the world's economy with his tariffs. Wouldn't you expect for all economic metrics to go in the wrong direction just due to the uncertainty caused by Trump's attempts to balance our trade deals with the rest of the world? Come on, ladies, give him some credit. Good Lord, I promise, despite what your bosses tell you, it won't kill you. Anyway, let's get back to it.
do a tariffs on
as we
motor.
give examples of Jaguars, how many people under 200,000 making under $200,000 can even buy a Jaguar?
What does that
We're
have
talking,
to do? Wait, listen,
what does it have to do? We're
I
talking
gave you an
about
example, and you tell
Jaguars
me why that's
manufactured
wrong.
in India.
What's
They're
wrong
owned
with
by
what I...
Tata, which is an Indian company, but are Jaguars manufactured in India?
Tata Motors.
Is owned by an Indian.
Yes. So get
entrepreneur.
over it. It's a fact.
But they're not manufactured in India.
Listen, they charge.
How?
They do not
Okay, so
let us
if you
ship
are you going
an
to put a tariff
American
on the
car.
company, or are you going to put a
Are you
tariff
okay?
on the cars?
You're okay with them
No, are
charging
you
100%
okay?
on an
But
American car?
Kevin,
Kevin, in the
are they
meantime-
manufactured in India? I haven't looked this up, but are they manufactured in India?
They make them all over the world, as
Okay,
as
well-
American cars companies do too.
Well, look,
But
I mean,
I think you should focus on the fact.
well, no, I mean where we are, but I think we're focusing also on the question of first of all, it's been 4 weeks. There have been 0 deals. Okay, so again, every day
4 weeks. Oh my goodness, he couldn't get a deal done in 4 weeks.
Well, Kevin, you know, it was an option for this administration
So
to
you
pursue
need to do it
this.
in 24 hours,
It
right?
was an option for this administration to pursue a strategy of deals before slapping tariffs on the whole world. That could have happened
just
too,
suggesting.
right? And I don't know, and I think, I bet you, I don't know anyone, even people who agree with you about the need to deal with trade barriers, you know, the tariffs and then the non-tariff trade barriers, would disagree that that needs to be addressed. Again, it's how, right?
So, but I
It
think
is the
that
how.
the very thing that he's being criticized for is the thing that worked. If he had come in and very nicely and politely gone to each of these
what
countries
worked? What
and
has
said,
worked?
I'm,
What
tr- I'm, I'm trying to explain. If he had very nicely and calmly and politely gone to each of these countries and said, look, you've been screwing us over, you've been screwing over the American working class for 40 years, and we're not going to take it anymore. Let's sit down and have like a nice conversation. Why won't you, how about you bring down those tariffs? Let's meet halfway
Okay, but
somewhere.
has
They
it
would have said,
worked?
no way. I'll tell you what worked. He picked up a baseball bat, he whacked the stock market, and now they're all sitting there in a state of relief that it's
Okay,
only a 10%
Americans
tariff,
are
and they're coming
struggling.
to the table.
Wait, I'm confused.
That's how you know
actually
that it
legitimately,
worked.
I'm legitimately confused. So Trump destroying 20% of wealth in the country
way,
over the
all of
last
the losses
4
have
months.
recovered at this
Who
point.
wins
That's
from
not
that?
true.
Who
Of
win-
course
who
they
win-
have.
No,
Let
no,
me
no,
give
no,
you the
they have
date
not.
on the
No,
losses.
who-
April 3rd was the meltdown. Let me give you the data.
Hold on, Kevin. Don't interrupt me.
I want facts
Who
here,
benefits? Who benefits when the stock market drops and people lose
We
value
have
in both their
70
in both their
countries
investments and
trying
also
now to
in terms
get
of the
a
companies.
deal So yeah, it's been 4 weeks and we don't have a deal yet. They're working. They're very close to announcing them. India and Vietnam both announced tariffs on China. You think they would have done that if Trump hadn't shown that he was serious about standing up for the American working class and that he doesn't work for Wall Street?
How have the American people benefited is the question that I'm asking in this period.
$1.5 trillion
in this period
in
of time.
manufacturing.
Those are commitments that have not materialized in a
4
single
weeks?
Most of
Do you know how
most
long
of
it takes to build these things?
Most of those are press releases and pictures with shovels, and then it never happens. And you can go back. That is
That's what happened in the first term. We have
Can we
seen
go
this
back
movie
to
before.
facts
That
for
is
just a moment?
always
Can we just
true.
talk about facts for a moment? April 3rd was a meltdown based on the tariff announcements. The stock market has recovered 52% of those since then. As we wait to see the outcomes of the India agreement, the EU agreement, the UK agreement, the Swiss agreement, the Thailand agreement, the Japanese agreement, Canadian agreement, Mexican agreement. No administration has ever done 60 trade agreements at once. I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's chaotic.
Including
but
this
all
one.
you care
So
about is 17 deals.
Okay.
Except China. Forget
Listen,
about China's different.
when I say
So it's no surprise that there's clearly a recurring narrative on CNN that the economy's tanking, and if it's not, it's gonna. Bottom line is, the stock market's not tanking. They keep telling us that we're headed for a recession, even right after the Dow Jones and S&P 500 have had 9 straight days of gains, the longest for both in 20 years. So they won't report on that, but I guarantee you that the second there's any significant loss, they'll say, oh boy, we've been warning you. Then it'll go back again, as our resilient American market always does. And they'll say, well, this is temporary because we haven't felt the full effects of the tariffs yet. But now that we know the stock market's doing well, I think it's important to ask why we've seen this growth in the stock market recently. Do you know that China has dropped tariffs completely on over 131 product categories to the United States? If you haven't heard that, you're looking at the reason. Biased news shows like this. If they were honestly reporting the news, wouldn't that be good for the American people to know so they can best determine their perception of the performance of this president? I guess not. And as far as prices, nothing's really happened since Trump took office. They've remained stable, but according to every analyst on CNN, prices should be skyrocketing due to the volatility caused by Trump's tariffs. Unemployment stayed steady, despite what we hear on every one of my videos from the panel on Newsnight. And the jobs reports surpassed expectations in both March and April. So despite all the chaos that's been created, all of these reasons are why the stock market's doing well. But if I reported it like CNN does, I'd say we're set for the largest bull market run in history, all because of Trump's big, beautiful tariffs. Anything I say and anything you hear on CNN is pure speculation. I'm making an educated guess on what I think will happen based on the information available. And they're making I was about to say they make educated guesses, but then I remembered what network they're on. And instead of educated guesses, I'd say they're making biased claims. But what did you guys think about this panel discussion? And how are you feeling about Trump's trade strategy and the tariffs as everything stands right now? Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching videos of Kevin O'Leary or Batya Ungar-Sargon just owning a bunch of liberals on CNN, then click on one of the videos that's about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I've got the best viewers in the world. I really appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. Never forget Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.